Yo, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings for Tuesday, February 13th. We have another 6-game slate today. And before we do get started looking at today's 6-game slate, like always, guys, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like on the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button so you'll never miss out on any of my new uploads. And before we get started looking at this slate, guys, I always say this, never just lock in my 5 plays. Especially on today's slate, definitely going to have to watch some injury news today. We got Russell Westbrook, KARL-ANTHONY, 2 big guys that are questionable on this slate. If they miss, that's going to open up potential value. If they are in, could definitely hurt some of the value plays we might want to target on this slate. So make sure you're keeping up with the news throughout the day and not just plugging in my 5 plays and then really forgetting about it. Not really going to have a lot of success if you do that. You got to track the news throughout the day and make sure you're ready to make changes to your lineups all the way up to lock. Starting off at point guard, on today's 6-game slate, up top here, we got Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Chris Paul, sort of our studs up top here, and then after Paul, it takes a little bit of a dip down to DSJ, who's 7,300. But starting up top with Westbrook going up against Cleveland, like I said, this is a slate where we're going to have to make sure we're staying up with injury news throughout the day. Westbrook is questionable as I'm recording this on Monday night. He did participate in Monday's non-contact practice, that's what it says here. And the Thunder will be doing a shoot-around on Tuesday, I guess, during the day. If Westbrook is able to participate in that, which I have imagined he is going to be able to participate in that, then they will decide after the shoot-around if he will be able to play. So we're going to have to keep up with that news as the day goes on. If Westbrook is able to play, I'm not sure if I'm really jamming him in on this slate. There are some big studs on this slate for it to be 6 games. We got LeBron, Westbrook, Harden, Antetokounmpo, PG. You could definitely consider a stud. If Westbrook and Melo are both out, PG is going to be a great play. Butler, Towns, so definitely a lot of good stud options. We don't have to jam in Westbrook, and I don't think I really want to pay up for him on this slate, even if he does play. Same with Harden going up against Minnesota. I don't love this matchup. I have a good feeling Harden's going to see plenty of Jimmy Butler defense, which does scare me a bit. He only put up 30 DraftKings points in 25 minutes earlier this year against Minnesota. So for what that is worth, Harden did struggle against the Timberwolves earlier this year. Chris Paul had a much better game. He put up 47 DraftKings points in 35 minutes against them. He will get a much better matchup. He's probably going to be guarded by Jeff Teague. That is a good matchup for Chris Paul. I do really like him on this slate. If you want to pay up at point guard, I think he is my favorite play. I like those savings you get going down from Westbrook, going down from Harden. And looking at Chris Paul here, if I'm paying up at point guard, he's the guy I want at 9,100. But then if we go to this mid-tier, there are a lot of plays here. Not plays I'm really thrilled about. Definitely some guys do have good matchups. Some guys have tough matchups. Like Kyle Lowry, he's got a nice price, but not the best matchup against Miami. Eric BLEDSOE kind of priced up a bit at 7,200, but he is in a good spot here against the Hawks. I think BLEDSOE is a guy that I like in this mid-tier at 7,200. He can pay off this price tag. BLEDSOE has been playing really well lately. He deserves to be this price. His last 4 games, he's put up 43, 43, 44, and 35 DraftKings points, so been very consistent. Great matchup today. BLEDSOE is probably my favorite play in this mid-tier if I was to go here. Not really thrilled with a lot of these mid-tier plays. I think point guard, if you're not going to pay up for like Paul or play BLEDSOE in this mid-tier, then there are value plays I do like here, like in this 5K and then going sub 5K. Looking at these price ranges, you got Dejounte Murray against Denver, who I think is definitely like a mid-tierish value play, 5,700. Spurs are on a back-to-back, which is a bit concerning. They could rest some guys today, and maybe that could open up some potential value. But Dejounte Murray, not going to be a guy that rests. He's going to play full minutes, even on back-to-backs. He's one of their young guys. And in a great matchup against Denver, I do like him here at 5,700. Jordan Clarkson, you can maybe go to him at 5,100. Did play 23 minutes off the bench in his Cavaliers debut and put up 27 DraftKings points. 5,100 does seem like a too cheap of a price tag for Clarkson if he's going to be playing anywhere from 25 minutes. Just because when the guy's on the court, he's going to score, going to get the rebounds and assists as well. So him and Dejounte Murray are 2 guys in that 5K range I like. Then looking for the cheap value here, there's definitely a potential value play sub 5K I really like today. If Westbrook is out, Raymond Felton at 4,900, I think makes a lot of sense as a value option. Obviously, don't just plug in Raymond Felton early in the day and then not keep up with news and not check your lineup. You're going to want to make sure you're tracking the news throughout the day. Make sure you're ready to take Felton out if Russell Westbrook is in, because if Westbrook plays, Felton's going to be a terrible option. He's only going to play like 15 minutes if Westbrook is in. But if Westbrook's out, Felton's going to play 30-plus minutes. The last 2 games with Westbrook out, Felton's played 31 and 34 minutes. and has put up 21 and 34 DraftKings points. So he's gotten the minutes. The production's been there. He's kind of got a price increase now up to 4,900, but I think he could still pay this off. Do like Felton here as a cheap option, 4,900 if you're going down here at point guard. And he's really the value option I see that stands out to me at this position. Like I said, with the Spurs being on a back-to-back, that maybe could open up potential value if they do decide to rest some guys. So someone like Brian Forbes might be someone we want to consider today at 3,600. We already know LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be out today, so that could open up potential value as well. But Felton at point guard as a cheap option is the guy that stands out to me. So let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. And look up top here, you got Jimmy Butler, DeRozan, two expensive options we can target at shooting guard. I do really like Jimmy Butler here at 9,300. It's going to be hard to decide between him or Chris Paul. I think both of those guys are definitely good plays on this slate if you're going to that 9K range. This is a spot where Jimmy Butler's going to have to be on the court. They're going to need his defense on Harden, on Paul. Played 42 minutes earlier this year against Houston. That's pretty normal for Jimmy Butler. He's going to play those kind of minutes in big-time competitive games. Put up 36 DraftKings points, so wasn't that great of a game, but the minutes were there for Jimmy. And just like I said, the minutes are going to be there anytime it's a close competitive game, and he's going to be needed. I would prefer Paul for a little bit cheaper, for just 200 cheaper, but if you can fit Jimmy and Paul in, I do like that rather than trying to fit in like an 11K guy on the slate. Maybe play like Jimmy, Paul, then a couple value plays and then some mid-tier plays. I think that is a viable strategy today. So if you're going to pay up a shooting guard, I like Butler here, but this is another position we can find some mid-tier plays. Like you can play BLEDSOE in this mid-range at shooting guard. I do like him on this slate. You can maybe play Wiggins at 6,200. He's in a good matchup. Fast-paced game against Houston that does favor Wiggins' game. He did put up 31 DraftKings points earlier this year against Houston. I'm not in love with Wiggins' price tag today, but he's been solid, been giving you about a 22, 23-point floor. You obviously want more than that at 6,200, but you know he's going to have the floor. He's going to get you 20 to 25 DK points. You can pretty much pencil that in. And when Wiggins is shooting the ball well and having his good games, he can get you 35, close to 40. So I don't mind Wiggins here at 6,200. I think I'd rather get up to like BLEDSOE if you want to play him at shooting guard, but Wiggins in that mid-range does make some sense today. I think you can always play Gary Harris, especially in cash games when he's only 6K. Very likely he's able to return value on that price. Harris, another guy I like in that mid-tier if you're going there. And then looking for the value at this position, I think the value plays are kind of the same plays I've already mentioned here. Like I think Felton's eligible at shooting guard if you want to play him here. You could go to like J.R. Smith or CEDI Osman. CEDI did start their last game against Boston. Played pretty well. The minutes were there. He played 29 minutes, 21 DraftKings points. We know he played that game against Atlanta, started in that game. 38 minutes, 37 DraftKings points. If Osman continues to start, he could be a potential value play on the slate at 4,600. JR's kind of been playing well lately. You could also go to him at that same price tag. But I think shooting guard today is a position we can go to this mid-range. You can play BLEDSOE, the guy I like in this mid-range. I think CLARKSON, really good option at 5,100 if you want to go to him. And then maybe Spurs guys could rest today, which could open up value at shooting guard if we're going cheap here. But I think that's it for this position, so let's go ahead and look at small forward. Got some studs up top here. LeBron, Giannis, PG, all eligible at this position. I do like LeBron on this slate. If you want to pay up for him, I think he's probably my favorite guy if we're talking about like the 10K and above studs. I feel like LeBron's going to start playing really well. He's going to be really motivated. In that last game against Boston, the Cavs, they just look so motivated. They won by 23 points or 22 points, it looks like. LeBron only played 28 minutes because it was a blowout. Didn't even have to play in the fourth quarter. He was smiling on the bench, looking like he was having a good time with his new team. And I think that continues here today. I think LeBron really motivated to play with some of these young athletic guys. And now that Isaiah Thomas is gone, LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Going to get the assists, the rebounds, the points. We obviously know those are all going to be there. A triple-double threat pretty much every night. You don't love the matchup with OKC. He's going to see plenty of Paul George defense, and PG is a really good defender. But LeBron is pretty much matchup-proof. I consider him no matter what the matchup is. I do like him at 11,500. But if Westbrook and Melo are both out again today, I love taking the savings off of LeBron, off of Giannis, going down to Paul George, 9,900 in that same game, going up against the Cavs. Just love PG here if both of those guys remain out. The last two games, with Westbrook and Melo out, PG's played 34, 35 minutes, has put up 50 and 55 DraftKings points. He's took 24 and 25 shots, so he's taken nearly 50 shots his last two games, with Westbrook and Melo both off the court. The points have been there. The rebounds have been a little unsteady. 9 rebounds against the Lakers, only 1 rebound against Memphis. But the assists have been solid. 8 assists against Memphis, 3 assists against the Lakers. It's mainly the points though, and just the field goal attempts. 29, 33 points last 2 games, and like I said, nearly 50 shots his last 2 games. Just so much usage to go PG's way if Westbrook and Melo remain out. Love him on this slate. Even though he's up to 9,900, I think he still has the floor to pay off this price. I think he has the tournament upside. He has that 60 points, 65 point ceiling we want in tournaments. PG could easily get there today in a 9,900. I do really like him on the slate if Westbrook and Melo both remain out today. But looking for other plays at small forward, I do really like some value here. Not very interested in this mid-range. I think if I'm not paying up here, I'm just going to try and go cheap. Maybe if Russell Westbrook is out and Melo plays, if that happens, you could play Melo at 6K. He could definitely be an option, but that's going to be news we have to track throughout the day, and that's not really a play we can lock in right now. So like I said, going sub 5K, this is where I find some value plays. You can maybe go to Jerami Grant. If at least Melo remains out, Grant's going to see more minutes if Melo's off the court. Played 23, 25 minutes last 2 games, 22, 23 DraftKings points, so been consistent. Price tag still a little bit too cheap at 4,900. You can play him for value. Davis Bertans, a guy I really like for value at 4,800. Going up against Denver, Bertans just been playing so well lately with Aldridge out for this game. Bertans should see plenty of minutes. And since the Spurs are on a back-to-back, Bertans is one of the younger guys. He won't rest here. He's going to play minutes. And if some guys do rest for the Spurs, that could open up even more minutes for Bertans. Just love him as a value option today, even though his price tag is starting to catch up. I still think he has the potential to pay this off. So I like him if you're going cheap here. Like Jerami Grant as well if Melo remains out. And then you have guys here that I've kind of already mentioned, like J.R. Smith, CEDI, if he remains in the starting lineup, could both be value plays. But that's what I'm seeing for small forward, for cheap options that really catch my eye. So let's go ahead and move on to power forward and look up top here. We got some stud options up top here that we've already talked about. So looking for other plays. Don't really have a lot of top options here because a lot of guys are out. And they're guys that I've already talked about. So you got like Melo in this mid-range who I've already mentioned. I like at 6K. If Russell Westbrook is out, I think we can play Melo here. I think we can play Paul Gasol at 5,600 with Aldridge out. Just definitely be concerned with the minutes. Gasol usually does have his minutes limited on back-to-backs. Sometimes he'll even rest on back-to-backs. And this is the last game on the slate. It's a 10:30 game. We could have that, or that news probably won't come in before lock. We could definitely get some news after lock, the Gasol rest. Definitely be worried about that. But if you think Gasol's going to play full minutes here with Aldridge off the court at 5,600, that still seems like too cheap of a price. You could play Gasol here if you're going cheap. Really like Dwight Powell as well. For 100 less than Gasol, I think he's a really good option if you're going cheap at power forward. Even though his price tag has started to catch up a bit, I still think Powell has the upside to pay this off. Just in his last 4 games, he's played consistent minutes. The fantasy production has been very consistent. 29, 31, 23, and 29 minutes his last 4 games. 27, 32, 32, and 35 DraftKings points. I believe he did play off the bench in that game against the Lakers, and he did only play 23 minutes in that game, and I think he started the next game against Houston, put up 35 DK points in 29 minutes, so he's been getting more minutes when he's been in the starting lineup. Good chance he doesn't start here because it looks like the Mavs are going to have Dirk back. They're going to have Harrison Barnes healthy for this game. Powell will most likely be playing off the bench, but he's still going to get you mid-20s, close to 30 minutes, even playing off the bench, and he has the upside to pay this off, especially given the matchup against the Kings. Just such a bad defensive team, and especially at defending power forwards and centers. This is a team you can definitely attack down low, so I do like Powell here at 5,300. And then my final play of my 5 plays is Dwayne Dedmon, 5,300 in a matchup against the Bucks. Really like Dedmon here if we're going cheap at power forward or center. As long as Dedmon gets the minutes against this Bucks front court, he should definitely be able to return value on this salary. He did play 31 minutes in their last game against Detroit. He did start in that game and put up 46 DraftKings points in 31 minutes, had 20 points and 13 rebounds. Just a really nice game from Dwayne Dedmon. I think if he remains in the starting lineup today, hopefully we'll have the Hawks starting lineup before lock and we'll know. If Dedmon gets the minutes, he's going to hit value on this price, especially given the matchup. The Bucks are so bad at defending centers. So him and Powell are 2 guys I like at power forward and center. You can play them at either position. They're value plays I see. And then sub 5K, it's kind of the same guys I've already talked about, like Jerami Grant you could play. You can maybe go to Tristan Thompson at 4,500 if you're going cheap here. I think he's a considerable play. Patrick Patterson could definitely be a great value if Melo remains out. He did start for Melo. At least in their last game against Memphis, he started and put up 28 DraftKings points, played 35 minutes. That game against the Lakers, Melo was out, and Patrick Patterson played 26 minutes. So he's going to play 25 to 30 minutes. If he's playing really well, he might exceed that amount. So I do really like him as a punt option, just 3,800, very, very cheap. But I think that's it for this position. So let's go ahead and look at center real quick. Look at the position, or look at the plays up top of this position. You got Cat, Jokic, Whiteside, even Capella, guys up top here. I want to consider Cat on the slate, especially given the matchup against Houston. He played really well early this year against Houston. Put up 62 DraftKings points in 36 minutes, had a monster game. But just at 9,200, I think there are other guys I'd rather play. I think I'd rather play Jimmy Butler. I think I'd rather play Chris Paul in that same price range. But Cat really succeeded in this matchup earlier this year. He would be my favorite center if you want to play an expensive center today. I'd prefer him over Jokic. But center is a position that has mid-tier plays I see. You could go to Capella in that same game. You could play Steven Adams against Cleveland. He's only 6,800. I want to target Whiteside against Toronto, but if the minutes aren't going to be there for Whiteside, I'm not sure if I want to play him. Just his last 3 games, he's played 23, 33, and 26 minutes. He's still been consistent even though the minutes have been up and down. He's gotten 39 DraftKings points in 3 straight games. He did play 29 minutes earlier this year against the Raptors, had 37 DK points. This is a solid matchup. The Raptors have struggled to defend centers this year, but I feel like Capella might be a safer option. I feel like Steven Adams is probably a safer option as well, but Whiteside in tournaments, I do really like him if you're going to that mid-range. And then trying to find value here, I think it's pretty clear, like the value plays I've already mentioned. Gasol, you can play at center. You can play Powell. Dedmon, you can go to them at center. That's really what I see for cheap options here that I haven't already talked about, so I think that's pretty much it for center. I think that's pretty much it for this position. And I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. If you haven't already dropped a like on the video, make sure you give it a like and make sure you subscribe if you have not already as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT or just leave a comment down below. I will get back to your question as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching and good luck tonight on this slate, guys. Peace.